Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make a coconut chickpea curry, and it's only going to take you 30 minutes. So let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the 2 medium red onions. Now, I'm actually only going to be using 1.5. So you can use 1 large red onion if you want. So we're going to slice it like this, and then we're going to slice it this way as well. And we're going to dice them all up. Now, the best way to dice onions is to keep the root on, like I did. And then I put this on a plate because I destroy my eyeballs, man. And I need my eyeball for the rest of the recipe. So you're going to chop up 1 red chili, put that to the side, and then a whole bunch of coriander, chop that through as well, and that's all the prep work done, kind of. So you're going to put this pan on heat. This is a very good pan, by the way. You should definitely invest in the link in the description. But you're going to go in with 1 tablespoon of ghee, a splash of oil, and then some cinnamon sticks. Toast the cinnamon sticks for about 30 seconds. Add in the onion with a small pinch of salt, because the salt is going to draw out the moisture from the onions and allow it to cook easier and soften easier. Sometimes I feel like I'm reading off a script, you know. But anyway, you're going to put in a garlic and ginger block and then cook that for a further 2 to 3 minutes until the garlic and ginger block has dissolved. Then you're going to let this cook on a low heat with the lid on for a minimum of 10 minutes. Minimum of 10 minutes. Okay? So if you want to do 15-20 minutes, you can. You can do half an hour if you want. It'll put more flavor into the onions. But just make sure you stir often. Now, once the onions look like that, you're going to go in with 2.5 heaped tablespoons of tomato puree. That was very difficult for me to say, man. You're going to stir this through and cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes until that tomato rawness kind of dissipates. Then we're going to go into the spices. So I've got 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1.5 teaspoon of coriander powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin powder, half a teaspoon of paprika, and half a teaspoon of chili flakes. You're going to add that all in, followed by the red chili that we chopped up earlier, and then we're going to stir this through. Now, as you can see, this is drier than the flipping desert, man. So use your eyeballs and intuition, add a splash of water. Cook this for a few minutes until you can see some oil separation, indicating that the spices are cooking or have cooked off. Then you're going to go in with 2 tins of chickpeas. I use this specific brand because the chickpeas are fat ones, and then a large pinch of salt. I'll explain to you later on which brand it is. Then you're going to stir this through and cook this for a few minutes until all of that flavor seeps into the chickpeas. Now, you can actually add in another tin of chickpeas. You got plenty of masala in there, so you don't need to alter the spices. You're going to go in with 1 tin of coconut milk. Tin of coconut milk. Come on, man. You know, tin of coconut milk. Coconut milk. There we go. So it finally dislodged, man. I feel like a plumber. So once you've done that, you're gonna stir that through and bring it all back up to heat. Look at the color. Honestly, if you could smell this, man, delicious. So you're gonna put the lid on and simmer this on a medium heat for 10 minutes. Now, when I say medium heat, I mean the lowest setting on the largest hob. Once you've done that, you lift the lid, you're going to see the oil has separated the top, and this is going to start thickening. If it hasn't thickened, then just increase the heat and start thickening it up. Now, this consistency isn't the consistency that I want. I want it a bit thicker, so I'm going to reduce it down a bit more by increasing the heat. But this is basically the end of the dish. You've got another 5 minutes to go, so you want to thicken it to your desired consistency. Now, once you're at this stage, you're going to go in with 3/4 teaspoon of garam masala, a good pinch of this kasuri methi, also known as dried fenugreek leaves. As you put it in, make sure you break it up, and then mix that through, cooking that for another 2 minutes, but again, increasing the heat and reducing it down. Now, when you see them bubbles, can you see them hollow bubbles that intermittently forming? That is the consistency that I like, because it's like perfectly thick, not too watery, not too dry. And then at this stage, I'm going to go in with a bunch of fresh coriander to add that final oomph to the dish. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to mix that through. I've reduced the heat a bit now, and then I'm going to cook this for a further minute. Now, I don't want this to reduce down any further, that's why I dropped the heat. But then once you get to this stage, turn the heat off and then squeeze over a good amount of lime juice, because lime juice and coconut milk just go so well together. Okay, mix that through for the final 20 seconds, and this is basically the final dish. Perfect consistency. So you're going to top this off with fresh coriander, some sliced red chili to give it that aesthetic look thing, and this final product. Okay, now that the dish is done, I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks on how to make this entire thing perfect. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the chickpeas. Now, please do not get the Asda, Morrison, basically the supermarket own brand chickpeas in tin, because they're small, man. We don't want small ones, we want fat ones. But basically, the brand that I get is the Napolina brand, okay? Them chickpeas, man, they're bite-sized. And then when you make a curry out of it, it just tastes a lot better. Also, it's a bit more filling. Basically, them chickpeas have the obesity. But in this case, that's very good. So the second thing I want to talk to you about is the onions. Now, in this recipe, we cook this all in 30 minutes, but you can actually make it a bit longer. Why do you make it a bit longer? To put more flavor into the onions. So if you caramelize the onions further, you can reheat it for about 10-15 minutes. You can do it for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then when it starts becoming brown and gets that caramelization going, it's going to add so much flavor into the end dish. But that's entirely up to you. It will take longer, but it's just going to add so much more flavor. So it is, in my opinion, worth it. How can you pass on flavor, man? So the next thing I want to talk to you about is the coconut milk. Now, I know a lot of people are going to have this question like, I don't like coconut milk. Can I replace it? Yes, you can. You can. Obviously, it's a coconut chickpea curry. Why the hell did you click? But if you did want to replace it, just replace it with water. 400 ml of water. And if you did want to add a bit of creaminess to it, you can also add single cream and double cream towards the end. So do the entire recipe, simmer it for 10 minutes like I did with the coconut milk, and then towards the end when you're reducing it all down and getting it to that consistency that you like, that's when you can add in some single cream or double cream. Double cream will make it a bit thicker, and obviously if you add too much, it's going to be like cement. I prefer adding single cream. So you can use single cream, about 100-150 ml, and then that'll be fine as well. Now, the fourth thing I want to talk to you about is altering the spices. Now, in this specific recipe, I've done the basic turmeric, coriander, cumin, chili, then garam masala, kasuri methi at the end. And that makes one type of dish with a certain flavor profile. But there's a second version. And that's basically, if you've done this one, you like this one, but you want something a bit different. So in this case, you're going to add 1.5 teaspoon of coriander powder, 1.5 to 2 teaspoon of madras curry powder. I would edge more toward the 2 teaspoon of madras curry powder, and then 1 teaspoon of chili powder, or paprika, and a bit of chili flakes if you want. Okay, and finally, don't add garam masala. You can add maybe a 1/2 teaspoon if you wanted to, but you do want to put the fenugreek leaves in there, the kasuri methi. Don't forget that. And also, just to remind you, when I talk about spices, teaspoon, this is the teaspoon I'm talking about, man. A lot of people say, this is too big to be a teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of this is like a heaped of that. That's 1 teaspoon, and that's why my teaspoon look a bit bigger. I don't really like the measuring cup one. It's just a bit small, isn't it? And the final thing I want to talk to you about is the tomato puree. Now, I added 2.5 tablespoons of tomato puree, heaped tablespoon. You don't have to add that much. Especially when you're adding the coconut milk, it adds the thickness to the dish anyways. So if you wanted to, and you wanted like a lighter color, you could do 1 heaped tablespoon or 1.5 heaped tablespoon. And that should be enough for both spices. The one in the video and the one that I just told you like literally just before this. Okay? However, if you are opting for using water instead of coconut milk, I would keep the tomato puree amount the same because you want more flavor in that. Because the flavor from the coconut milk just has a lot of flavor anyways. But when you're adding water, you want the masala to have flavor. Make sense? So stick to the normal 2.5 teaspoon if you're using water. So just to summarize, if you are using coconut milk as in the video, you can use 1.5 heaped tablespoons of tomato puree. You can even use 1 heaped tablespoon of tomato puree. Or you can just use what's in the video. But if you are using water, stick to the amount that I mentioned in the video. Anyways, guys, that is the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If there's anything else that you want me to make, let me know in it. I'll see you in the next one. Add a tiny bit if you want. You can add like a 1/4 teaspoon, but you can